The leader of Russia just said there's no stopping Elon Musk. Take a listen to this 1-minute clip.
There are reports that Elon Musk has already had a chip implanted in the human brain in the USA. I think there's no stopping Elon Musk. He will do as he sees fit. Nevertheless, you need to find some common ground with him, search for ways to persuade him. I think he's a smart person, I truly believe he is. So you need to reach an agreement with him because this process needs to be formalized and subjected to certain rules. Humanity has to consider what is going to happen due to the newest development in genetics or in AI. One can make an approximate prediction of what will happen. Once mankind felt an existential threat coming from nuclear weapons, all nuclear nations began to come to terms with one another since they realized the negligent use of nuclear weaponry could drive humanity to extinction. It is impossible to stop research in genetics or AI today, just as it was impossible to stop the use of gunpowder back in the day. But as soon as we realize that the threat comes from unbridled and uncontrolled development of AI, or genetics, or any other field, the time will come to reach an international agreement on how to regulate these things.
Generally speaking, seems like the headlines about this in relation to Elon Musk are positive, so that's good. Politically, this could be twisted against Elon Musk by saying something like, oh, the leader of Russia supports Elon Musk and therefore Elon Musk is bad. But looking at the headlines, it doesn't seem like this is reported negatively about Elon Musk. Tesla has shifted its supply strategy for Canada and it's again shipping Model 3 into the country from China. When Tesla released the refreshed Model 3 in China, Tesla stopped importing vehicles from China to Canada, but now that the Model 3 is out, it is doing it again. The Model 3s built in Giga Shanghai generally have better quality than those that are built in Fremont, so for consumers, this is good news. And in general, of course, it is cheaper to make vehicles in China than it is in the US, so this is good for Tesla's costs of goods sold. However, it appears that the change is only applicable to the Tesla Model 3 and not the Model Y. I think that's because the Model Y in China has been refreshed a little bit, but not in the US, so that move makes sense. In a new Tesla update, Tesla is rolling out support for ultra-wideband, a wireless protocol that will drastically improve how Tesla phone keys work. Now, I haven't had any issues with Tesla keys really. Very occasionally, I have an issue with just trying to open the door and I realize, oh, my Bluetooth is off. Okay, let me turn it back on. Okay, now it works. Maybe once every 20 times, I will try to open my door when the vehicle is locked and it's not opening, and then I stand just a tiny little bit closer because let's say my phone is in the pocket. I stand just a little bit closer and then it immediately works. So I personally never really had any significant issues. So I probably will not notice any difference, but maybe some people had issues. But I read a little bit about this technology and it does seem like some people will definitely have an improved experience. So the main two differences are it uses less energy than Bluetooth while providing high precision location tracking beyond what can be achieved with Bluetooth. If you only use Bluetooth, the car sometimes may not recognize that the phone is nearby, requiring you to take out your phone and unlock it or even open the Tesla app before it recognizes that the phone is nearby. I guess this would be more applicable to women. If you have your phone in a maybe thick purse, maybe it's blocking the signal a little bit, or maybe if you are wearing jeans, maybe that's when you have a problem. I personally don't really wear jeans, so I never had a problem like that. This certainly doesn't feel as thick as jeans, so maybe that's why I never had a problem. I guess one more thing that's really good about this technology is that if you have your Bluetooth turned off, this should still work. You just turn it on once in your phone and it just always turned on is my understanding. So if like me, you sometimes turn off your Bluetooth because you just don't want a random speaker to connect to your phone, this will be a nice update. However, your phone has to have this hardware and your Tesla has to have this new hardware, so only newer Teslas are supported. And you need to have an iPhone 11 or newer, or Samsung S21 or newer. Clear and colored paint films are now available in 2 new locations in California for the Cybertruck Model 3 and the Model Y. I don't think you would ever want to put a clear paint film on your Cybertruck though. Tesla is about to greatly expand supercharging in Iceland with a partnership with gas stations. I think this is the future for gas stations, but even after they make the transition, they will still probably make less money because you only charge so often because you mostly charge at home. But if you have a gas-powered vehicle, you need to refuel weekly. Anyway, after the expansion, the number of supercharger locations in Iceland will triple. It's a small country, but we will probably see similar deals in other countries too. Tesla just started doing vertical YouTube Shorts ads, and this one explains how easy it is to charge, that you don't need to think about charging on road trips. You just enter your destination and then Tesla tells you exactly where you need to stop and for how long. And then of course they explain the $7,500 EV tax credit. So overall, a pretty decent ad. It is not news that Tesla is running an ad as a YouTube short, but the new part is that it is actually a vertical video. Before, Tesla would put these horizontal videos so you would barely see anything. This is much better. And here's another ad I found on X in the US that Tesla is running. This one is advertising the Model Y.
Wedbush out with a new note on the EV leader saying, quote, "It is time for the board to change the Tesla narrative with 3 things that need to occur to make change happen." For more, is the man behind the note, Wedbush Managing Director Dan Ives. Dan, best dressed man on Wall Street as well.
Great to be here.
It's okay. 3 things. Number 1, create a new comp package that supersedes this 2018 one. What do you want to see?
Look, $40 to $50 right now overhang on the stock because of this. The Delaware situation, I believe they need a comp package to supersede the 2018. Ultimately, Musk gets that package. This has been...
You want to see him get paid?
You want to see him get paid. This has already been approved by shareholders. Stop the nonsense. And I think this is something that the board needs to act now.
So, I mean, the judge in Delaware, of course, everybody's saying, oh, it's politicized. Who knows, whatever. But you think the board needs to come up with something new to compensate Elon Musk. By the way, keep him there, keep him happy, and keep that AI in-house because he kind of threatened to walk.
Musk is the heart and lungs of Tesla. Tesla is Musk, Musk is Tesla. And I think that's something that's very, very important at this juncture. Clock struck midnight. Board needs to come out and act.
Also, and it's related to that, the company's headquarters is already in Texas. Mm-hmm. But you think they need to, and Musk has said he may do this, legally move the state of incorporation from Delaware to Texas?
I think it's not a question. They have to. I think not just from a Delaware perspective, you got to move to Texas at the shareholder meeting, put that up. I think the board needs to come out with a statement, and then the Musk 25%. In terms of getting Musk to the 25% voting. Obviously, a lot of controversy there, but Brian, it is so important that AI, and we believe could be one of the biggest AI stories out there, AI stays under Tesla, which is, I think this is it's a pivotal point to make sure that Musk stays at Tesla through 2030 at least.
I agree with Dan Ives, and James made a comment here which is somewhat related to this subject as well. I have been tough on the Tesla board of directors for enabling, but I have reflected on this and I take it mostly all back. While it is true that they have enabled and stood by as Elon has harmed Tesla at the expense of his interests in Twitter, I am not sure that any other alternative is better than simply doing nothing. They cannot possibly force him out because the company valuation would collapse from fear of lack of future innovation. James says he disagrees with this, but that's what people think would happen. So the stock would react to it negatively. Now, I personally think in the long term, yeah, Tesla's innovation would be affected. Tesla would not be as innovative in the long term, I think. But in the short term, I can see some upside certainly for why having less drama at Tesla might be beneficial, but a lot of long-term retail Tesla stock investors will just pull out from the stock or will be quite upset with that. And the fact that he would sell his holdings of Tesla stock, which may well send it into low double digits, at least in the short term, or that he may cause a brain drain and Tesla would lose other key executives. That's a very real point. So they remain silent, lesser of the two evils. This is Elon's true desire for more voting rights. He wants to protect his power at all costs because he knows that for the reasons I described here, he can say, do, act as he chooses and literally tell anyone and everyone else to GFY. I think there's truth in what James is saying here, but also remember that Elon basically does not have control of OpenAI despite having put money into OpenAI. And I don't think he wants to repeat that again in any way, shape, or form. So I think his motivation for more voting rights is multifaceted. Moving on, this is a pretty good chart that shows us the average transaction prices by vehicle type. And you can see here that battery electric vehicles are substantially less expensive than luxury vehicles, but still quite a bit more expensive than non-luxury vehicles. Also, if we adjust it for the size of these vehicles, you would still see that battery electric vehicles are quite a bit more expensive than non-luxury vehicles. This is a bit misleading for the simple reason that there are almost no big, huge electric SUVs available on the market that you can buy, but there are so many non-luxury gas-powered massive SUVs. And these vehicles, of course, skew the averages. ARK Invest did not buy more Tesla stock. This marks the first trading day in 2 weeks without Tesla stock purchases by ARK Invest. Rivian has temporarily paused all deliveries of the R1T and the R1S in Canada due to a software issue. It's unknown when they will resume. Rivian, though, is not telling anyone what kind of an issue exactly it is. And this is only happening in Canada, not in the US. It's probably nothing serious, but it could expand into the US as well. GM just hired a former Tesla executive who is a recognized battery expert. He will be responsible for GM's battery cell strategy and a new end-to-end approach. Kelty's responsibilities will include researching, developing, and investing in new technology and the use of raw materials. However, keep in mind that he did not leave Tesla to work at GM. He did work for Tesla though for 11 years before then. He worked for another company and now he's going to work for GM. Interestingly though, GM's new hiring comes after the automaker backtracked on its all-in on EV strategy to focus on plug-in hybrids instead. Rivian has introduced its 2 new Standard and Standard Plus battery options. This means you can now buy a new RT1 with 270 miles of range for as low as $66,000 if you include the tax credit, but before fees and taxes. And here from Drive Tesla Canada, you can also see a few more details. For example, this one will give you 315 miles of range. Tesla is now approved to deploy adaptive headlight features to Model S and X vehicles in Europe. We have seen this for the Model 3, but now it is coming to the Model S and X. Elon replied with exactly to this post. Elon is doing everything right. I'm not saying this because I am an Elon fan. All those people complaining about Elon right now are people who follow Elon because they want Elon to make money for them, nothing else. The picture is bigger than you think. If the US fails FSD engineering and stocks don't matter anymore. Elon sees this picture and is trying to fix not only your money but also your country and everything else. And Elon has been posting a bit in the last 24 hours as well. He says that in a few months he will discontinue the usage of his phone number and will only use X for text and audio or video calls. Elon, I think, is quite focused on X. I think some people might have been slightly upset with Elon that he saw this interview come out and then immediately after it comes out he's watching it. Some might have an impression that he's not really working, but if you think about it, this is extremely beneficial to X. So he is working, just maybe not on Tesla. When there's a huge political story unveiling, he actually reposted this interview twice and it got 132 million views on X alone. Now, if you are going to watch this 2-hour interview, I felt slightly betrayed when I watched it. Nothing to do with anything specifically about whoever was being interviewed or anything like that, because you sort of know what you're getting yourself into. But the start of the interview is quite interesting because he says, let me give you a 30 to 60 second history lesson, basically, to give you more context, but he goes on for 30 to 45 minutes just going through history, basically. If you want the Russian president to be your history teacher, definitely do not skip the first 45 minutes. Did you see this? Hertz pauses plans to buy electric vehicles from Polestar this year. This is due to the collapse in resale values last year. In 2022, Hertz agreed to buy 65,000 Polestars over 5 years. This one is from Wednesday. Elon clearly is not happy that the CEO of Lucid got paid quite a bit of money despite Lucid actually being very far away from all-time highs. It's actually super close to all-time lows. In the meantime, a federal judge on Wednesday dismissed a lawsuit accusing Apple of overpaying the CEO, Tim Cook, by tens of millions of dollars. The judge said Apple described its pay methods and detailed compensation tables in his 2023 proxy statement precisely. Also, him not being involved in politics is probably helping him win this case. While we had problems with inflation over here, China currently is dealing with deflation. I'll keep an eye on this going forward. Can you believe it? It now has been 12 years since the original Model X prototype has been unveiled. The Engineering Explained YouTube channel just did a Cybertruck review, and it's a bit of a mixed bag, but in the end, he does like the truck.
Sails along the side there, going from the C-pillar back, actually adds 25% to the torsional stiffness of this vehicle. It is an extremely stiff vehicle. Tesla Engineering says it's about 3 to 4 times stiffer than the F-150. Why it doesn't have a yoke, they say, well, when you're off-road, you want to be able to grab the steering wheel anywhere. And I agree with that. There's no spare tire. Like what? A Ford Maverick, a tiny little Ford Maverick has a full-size spare. This does not feel like a car to drive. This feels like a truck. No, it doesn't have that whole body shake because it's a very rigid truck, but it most definitely feels like a heavy truck when you're driving it. Oh, let's get some giant windshield wiper actuation. Oh my. Oh, it kind of like sprays out all across that thing. That's kind of cool. It's a little, man, it's a little squeaky, but that is a giant windshield wiper. I love the way Tesla's regen braking feels. Very Tesla-like, feels very familiar in that way. This feels like a truck. Is it really responsive? Is it really good? Is it really Tesla-like? Yes. Did they do a good job? Yes. It still feels like a truck. You can't mask the fact that we're at almost, 7,000 pounds or 6,500 pounds. It's not extraordinary, though it looks very different and got all this hype, right? So it's like meeting a celebrity and that like, they're just regular people. They're cool. They've been very successful. They did a good job. So did Tesla with this product. But when you meet it, it's not this like otherworldly experience. It feels familiar, feels good. I like it. Think it's a cool truck.
And if you not only like that Cybertruck, but also this video, make sure to hit the like button right now. That helps with the YouTube algorithm. And I will see you in tomorrow's episode. Thank you so much for watching.